Japanese school, I was the only hafu, had the only katakana name, had the brownest skin. That's when it first hit me of like trying to understand what it means to be Japanese. Miss World Japan. I was like, really? Like, I'm a hafu. The only thing I knew was that I wanted to start my company before I turned 25. I needed something that would like stand out. I didn't think it was gonna go and be like her job as an elephant trainer.
Thanks for joining us on Unpacking Japan, proudly produced by our team at Zen Studio with the long-standing support of Zen Group. To keep these weekly stories coming, please consider subscribing. It's the best way to support the show and really makes a difference. And now, let's get into it. Welcome to Unpacking Japan. I'm Toby, and today I have the pleasure to sit here with Priyanka. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You're a former Miss Japan, Love is Blind participant, entrepreneur. You've started a company. Now you're starting a new studio in London, a location that is new to you because you were originally from Tokyo, spent some time in the US, spent some time in India, and a lot of your upbringing here in Japan, and now London. So we'll go a little bit over all this journey and all the things you've done. And I'm curious to kind of understand a little bit more about your background. Tell me about what it was like for you in your early years growing up in Tokyo as a half Indian, Bengali, and half Japanese.
So like I was born in Tokyo, and then I went to a kindergarten that was originally founded in Germany. So it's called Waldorfsteiner.
Okay.
And so the kindergarten I went itself was quite unique. It was like, I think my classmates, I had 2 or 3 other kids that were the same age as me. I was the only hafu, but I wasn't treated like, I was different or anything. I don't know if it was because of how the kindergarten itself was formed or just because of my classmates or so. But that's just my memory of like before moving to the States. And then after I moved to the States, I never questioned what I was, like if I was half Indian, half Japanese, or why my name wasn't Japanese or any of that. It was only until like I got back to Tokyo when I was 11. So until I went to the States, I don't really remember anything.
Just like those very early years, you're just playing around, you're just being you, and the memories are just kind of being formed.
Literally, yeah. But I saw photos, like recently my mom was visiting me in Tokyo, and she brought back some old photos, and I was this brown kid and everybody else was like, everybody was Japanese. And also I was very big. Like I remember I had a really close friend before going to the States, and she would come over and I saw our photos, and she was like half of my size.
As a child already.
As a child, yeah. I saw the difference, but I didn't feel like I was different until 11 or something like that.
How was it like for you being in an international family and moving so often already at a young age? Because you mentioned coming back to Tokyo at 11, but before that you also spent some time in India, I think.
I did, yeah. When I was 9, I went to India. That was a unique one because my parents weren't with me.
Oh.
Yeah. Not a lot of people know that. It's not like I've never talked about it, but yeah, my mom was still in the States. My dad was in Japan. So I lived in the States with my mom, actually. So my dad wasn't living with me all throughout elementary. And then I went to India when I was 9 because my mom was busy. I'll just put it that way. Like she was studying, and like she started to work in the States, and then my dad was quite busy with work as well. So they were like, should we homeschool her or not? But like, homeschool isn't really a thing in Japan. I had the option to go to my grandma's, and my grandpa's like on my mom's side, but I decided to go to India. I don't know why I said I would go to India, but I think there was like a bit of, my dad was influencing me. It's like, you should choose India. It'll be really cool. And then that's where I learned Bengali, and I got to connect with my Indian side of the family. But it was very different. Like India is so different from anywhere else too. But especially as a child, and only knowing California and Tokyo, it was definitely a culture shock.
Whereabouts in India were you during those times?
In Calcutta.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you moved there when you were 9. At 9, you're already kind of a mature child. You're able to forge memories and kind of see a little bit everything that's going around. And you mentioned it being different than California and Tokyo. Tokyo, huge city, very busy, but very organized. California, more like spaced out. We know the image of California. And suddenly you as a child are put into India, I imagine, very loud, very busy, a lot of things going on, a lot of interesting smells, new cuisine.
Yeah.
What were some of these things that really impacted you when you went there at 9?
I remember food was one thing, because like when I would spend time with my dad would cook me Indian food and I was familiar with it, but I wouldn't eat Indian food every day. So everything was very spicy. I love spicy food now, but as a child, I couldn't. And I remember in our house, because in India, we have a lot of like, it's quite normal to have maids and chefs. It's not like you have to be super rich to have that as a part of your lifestyle. But so we had a chef, and she would cook me meals separately without chili spices.
Oh.
But it would still taste spicy because of something that she would put in. And for her, it's non-spicy, but for me, it's spicy.
Yeah, I can imagine as a child, especially when you're not used to it.
Yeah, so that was, I think, the hardest one as a child. Like, food, okay, what can I eat? What do I think that, like, I will find that I like or something like that. And then I went to an English-speaking school, but all of my classmates were Indian because it was an international school. So that was a unique experience because I was treated as this like Japanese kid, but also in a way American.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I never really thought that I still never do think that I'm an American, but like, because I'm not. But yeah, because I was from the States, they were so fascinated. And also because I was part Japanese. So and then I think the biggest, I don't know if I say shock, but what I felt when I lived there was the poverty. Because I had never seen anything like what I saw in Calcutta until I did.
You're able to reflect on that now. When you were there as a kid, how did you understand? Were you able to grasp what you were seeing in terms of the poverty and the conditions some people are living in?
I think I have a better understanding now, obviously, but like as a child, I did understand, but I couldn't, because in ways of where a child that was younger than me or approximately the same age as me are, when we're in a car, they'll like kind of like chase the car for money or food. And they're like babies and like kids, like young kids that are just on the streets. And I couldn't understand why that was there, like how it is and the reasons behind it. But I knew something was just not fair, or like there was something that I wish I could do, but I couldn't. So I felt very grateful for the life that I had at 9. And I think I remember like living there for a year. It was just like things that I had or like I've experiencing back in the States or Japan that I thought that like I was like not lucky or something. I was like, you know what, actually I am. Like I have food, I have a roof, like I can go to school and I should be more grateful. In a way, I think I was more pure, as a child rather than being an adult and you're like, okay, this does exist in the world, and like you kind of cope with. I don't know how right.
You don't overthink it as a kid. You kind of just process and internalize and be like, okay, I'll just be how I am. You were mentioning that at school, a lot of the children were fascinated for you for being American,
Yeah.
which you said you never identified as. So did that start making you kind of wonder a little bit about who you are? In the United States, you were just Priyanka, in a very multicultural environment, but you spend most of your time with your mom, who is Japanese, and your dad was still working here. Suddenly you're in India, so more the Indian side of the family, I think, is present, but not so much yet of Japan. And then you have the perceptions of others. Do you start thinking about that consciously at the time? Like, oh, I'm like mixed culture. What does it mean? And I have all these backgrounds and the others perceive me this way, but how do I perceive myself?
So the thing is, like, I never did actually. Like, my family treated me, well, not treated me, even my dad thinks I'm Indian. Like, I asked him this like a month ago, and I was like, Dad, I'm like, going back memories and trying to understand how you guys raised me. But like, what do you think of me? Like, did you always think of me as half Indian, half Japanese or India? And he's like, Indian. I'm Indian.
Oh.
You're Indian. I know your mom's Japanese, but I always thought you're Indian. You look more like me. But it wasn't like trying it was very casual, and it was very my dad, and because him being, my father, and like I lived with him from middle school until I moved out, and my mom, so I didn't live with my mom after middle school. So like being raised by an Indian father, in Indian culture. So that makes sense. But when I was 9, I didn't, but also I didn't know what I was for sure. Like, it was like, I am Japanese, but I'm part Indian, but I don't feel as Indian. And I don't know, I couldn't relate. And I was always treated as this family member that was raised in a different country, where majority of my cousins and my aunts were raised in Calcutta. So I guess maybe a tiny bit, but it wasn't like the main theme that I was questioning. Yeah.
You spent 2 years, and then at age 11, you come back to Japan, the place where you were born at, but you ended up not having spent so much time in until then. What was it like for you to move back here, to kind of rediscover the city that you spent your early years in?
So I lived in India for 1 year, and then I went back to the States, and then I came back to Japan. So it was a lot of moving until I moved back. But it was different for sure. Like, so the city that I was raised in, they had an international school. So all the international kids would go to that school, where I went to a Japanese school. I had the option to go to a national school, but my parents and then my grandparents, and then like I also was like, I want to learn Japanese. I want to continue like not moving around. And also international schools are very expensive too. So like I just stayed in a Japanese school where I was the only hafu. I had the only katakana name. I had the brownest skin. And that's when it first hit me of like trying to understand what it means to be Japanese. Or it was, I think, the first label, like, somebody labeling me as you're a hafu and not just Priyanka. Because my mom always raised me as just being Priyanka. She never really raised me as you're Japanese or you're half Indian or anything like that. And also how people communicate were very different compared to the States. And I didn't speak fluent Japanese back then. So that was a huge struggle for sure.
Yeah, because then suddenly you spent your primary school years in school in the US. It's in English. Suddenly you came back and you don't go to international school, but the local Japanese school, and everything is in Japanese.
Yeah.
How did you even adapt to that when at that age, I imagine all the children already have a certain amount of vocabulary, especially spoken, but also in terms of like writing and kanji and so on. And you're like, okay, well, I can spell my name,
Yeah.
but you're in class, teacher is explaining to you something. What do you do?
I know. I don't know how it was brutal. Like, I couldn't understand what the teacher was telling me or trying to teach me, right? I don't know how I managed to learn Japanese in the amount of time that I did and how I caught up. But I did go to Kumon and like I liked Kumon because when you go to school, you know, like you're in the same class and you're supposed to learn the same thing and everybody's supposed to be in a similar level, right? Where I wasn't, but at Kumon, like I was giving my level. So I just had to pick up the paperwork that I need to do and then I'll just sit and I'll do and nobody's like judging me or watching me, you know, if I'm beneath or whatever.
Mhm.
So that was very useful for me and
Give you space to study at your own
pace.
pace, yeah.
Yeah. And I did a lot of like kanji doriru
Mm-hmm.
and
Kanji drills.
Yeah, kanji drills. Like, I hated them though because I remember once I had homework and I didn't know, it was just like a huge piece of paper with all the different kanjis and you're supposed to like answer them, but I couldn't. So I lied to my mom saying that today the teacher said that parents are supposed to do this and then we follow and we practice. I don't know why, but my mom bought it. And she did it for me and then I didn't do my homework. So like having those memories, I did not know Japanese at all. But after like a year or two, I started to understand and because I was able to speak already a decent amount. It was just I didn't know keigo or like the culture or how people communicate or why I look different or something like that. So it was a process. But after that, it was a bit easier.
1 or 2 years at that age is a long time, especially when doing something so difficult and challenging. Did you sometimes have like the desire to just go back to the States where you were just Priyanka and could communicate with everyone and had your friends already, I imagine, as well?
Yeah. I did have friends there that would just treat me as Priyanka. But actually, no, I think that was an option that was given to me. So I never really thought. And also, like, since a young age, I've been traveling with my family a lot that it has to do with like if my dad or my mom or whichever is going to move or do something in a different country and therefore I'm going to move with them. It wasn't because I wanted to. So I didn't think, but I didn't want to live in Japan. Like from that age, I was like, Japan's not going to be my home forever. This is not the country that I plan to live when I become an adult. So that was something that I always felt strongly.
So that idea already emerged at that age.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was like, okay, I just need to like live through now. And then when I become an adult, so I wanted to become an adult as soon as possible.
Just give me some food that makes me grow up and like.
Yeah.
Did you know what you wanted to do as an adult then? Did you have like a dream? Like, I'm an adult, I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to move to somewhere.
I wanted to be rich. I remember I was like, I just want to be rich. But not just that. So when I got back, I also got bullied. And that was very unpleasant. It was just, I don't like that years of my life. But because of that experience, I was like, I want to go into entertainment. Like, I think it was like a desire of wanting to prove myself, like, and through entertainment, it felt that I can prove myself.
It's interesting because I would have thought that, when you're being bullied, it's very harsh on yourself and you kind of want to maybe retract yourself a little bit from society. Going into entertainment means you put yourself out there for everyone to see, and those bullies might find other bullies that want to group together to keep bullying you now that you're a public figure. Or did you think about that? Or were you like, no, I'm just going to stand there and I'm going to push back?
The latter. Like, I don't know, because how you mentioned it is true. Like, I don't know why I didn't have that thought. I was like, okay, you guys bully me. I try to communicate. You guys can't communicate back. This is not working out. You can't talk this out. So I'm just going to prove you're wrong. I'm going to prove myself to you. And I wanted to become famous. But like, because the reason was through those experiences of being bullied, that doesn't exist in me anymore. So it's like, after all, like after I started modeling and then going into entertainment, I really started to enjoy the job and I liked it. And I wanted to get more castings and book things. So the first motivation went away. And like, it wasn't just because I wanted to become famous anymore after all.
You enjoyed the process.
Yeah.
The bullying is something you've spoken out about quite a few times also on other outlets. I'm curious, one side of you seems to want to take on the challenge and just go down the path of entertainment and do your own thing, prove them wrong. But also when you're a teenager and people say these things to you, it can hurt a lot. And you're at an age where emotions can be very fuzzy and difficult to process these things.
Mm-hmm.
How was it for you when people started saying things to you because of how you looked and who you were? How did you kind of handle that as a teenager?
Like, I don't know how well, not exactly I didn't know how to, but a part is like my personality. I think it helped me of just who I am. And I was like, I didn't, at the end, I didn't care. I don't know if it's not that I didn't care, but like, I was like, you cannot ruin my life. Like, just because you want to bully me for whatever reason, you're not going to destroy my life. So I don't care. I'm not going to give any energy to you. But for the first 6 months, I remember it was very harsh. Like, when I realized that I was getting bullied, it was very shocking. And I told my mom. So the first experience that I realized was, I guess it's bullying, but it was a music class and there's a piano and everybody's sitting like as a U, an alphabet U. And I was sitting on this side and there were 3 kids that were saying something to me or, and doing like these Japanese sign languages that I didn't understand. And then a girl sitting behind me tapped on my shoulder and she was like, Pri, like those like kids are telling you to die. And I'm like, why? Like, I have not interacted with them much and like I had done nothing. So I was like, I couldn't understand why. So I went home and then I told that to my mom very casually, like not even like crying or anything. I was like, Mom, today this happened. And my mom was like, tell me their names. I'm going to call their parents and we need to talk. And then after that, our in the same neighborhood, well, not in the neighborhood, but in the same city, but we moved. So my school changed. And then that's when the bullying of like me being treated as a germ started. And it was very slowly, like I didn't realize in the beginning, but suddenly it was like when I accidentally like bumped into someone or like, like bumped in, like they'll just like kind of like wipe that part and then like wipe it on the wall or like something like that. And I was like, okay, did I just see what I saw? Like, or, sometimes you feel gaslighted, but, or you're gaslighting yourself. But, and then I didn't say that exactly to my parents because last time when my mom did talk to the parents and the kids, nothing changed. So I actually called them up personally after school.
Took matters in your own hands.
Yeah. I know, as an 11-year-old kid, I'm like, how did I even come up with that? But I called them and I'm like, what did I do? Like, I mean, what's the reason? Like if I did something wrong, like I would like to apologize and can we just have a better understanding and like just, move forward? And they didn't have any reason and they couldn't really like be upfront. So but they were like, oh no, like we're all cool, like let's hang out. And then 3 days was peaceful. And then after 3 days, it started again. And then I just kind of gave up. But And then I remember telling the teacher multiple times what I was experiencing. And I think I have lost few memories of that time. So I remember being treated as a germ, but I'm sure I experienced some other stuff too. And every time I would mention it to the teacher, but he wouldn't do anything. So I was like, okay, I cannot rely on adults and the teacher is not helping me. So, okay, again, I'm going to give up. Another one was like, it was, I forgot which class, but there are a few classes that were free seatings and nobody would sit with me. And I'm like, okay, what did I do wrong here too? But like I don't remember anything because it just suddenly happened. And then that whole year I was like, I don't care. I'm not gonna care about anything. And I tried to just live through that year hoping that it will end as soon as it would.
That's a lot to take in for an 11-year-old. And I imagine when all of this happens, you're thinking, I want to grow up and get out of here.
Yeah.
So your way out was, I'm going to become an entertainer. I'm going to become famous. I'm going to do some modeling. At what age did you kind of start and get into, or you had your first gig for modeling?
It was 15. I signed with an agency around when I was 15. So yeah, that was my beginning of my career.
I always find that interesting because you get bullied for how you look, and then you pick a career that wants to value you or hire you for how you look. So it's kind of like the kind of opposite. You kind of take ownership of that in a way. How did you enjoy these first few gigs? It's not always easy to suddenly stand in front of the camera, but also you're being directed and sometimes also maybe used for just your looks, but not you, Priyanka, right?
You know, the thing is, like, when I was being bullied, I didn't know or I didn't think it was because I looked different.
Oh.
Yeah, like that's like when I think back, I still don't understand, but it doesn't connect, I thought it was something to do with me personally. So that's how I like took it in. And it was harsh too, because the only thing I could blame was like, okay, there has something to do with me. But when it goes into modeling and then in entertainment and going through castings, when I didn't get booked, I always thought that it was because of how I looked.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Because a lot of Caucasian models will get booked back. I don't know now, maybe still, but like back in those days, it was much more. And also I'm 175. And when I go through auditions or I try to book a shoot for a magazine in Japan, I was too tall.
Interesting.
Yeah. And also my body structure is not Japanese. So like I had to lose a lot of weight.
Like they force you to diet and just conform more to the image of how a Japanese woman should look according to the publication standards.
Yeah. Yeah. So I always felt fat. Like I thought I was big and fat, and like I think those things were more harder for me than connecting. Like I got bullied because of this, and I'm going to go through entertainment, and how can I like take ownership of that? It was just different individual experiences that I went through.
You said you originally kind of got into that because you wanted to become famous and rich. Now you just described some of the challenges of, they've kind of asked you to lose a lot of weight. They make you feel a little bit self-conscious. But you also mentioned you started really enjoying the process.
Yeah.
What parts of modeling did you really enjoy and kind of made you want to pursue this career further?
I liked shooting. Like I did like, I guess a way of like expressing or the creativity behind it and the sets, and I just liked what I was doing, even if it was paying me or not, But yeah.
Do you have any favorite shoots that you remember that you're, oh, this was awesome. This was like a great experience and that really motivated you to pursue?
So like I remember if it was like 17, I think it was like 17, I booked like an ad and I did like some sort of like, well, not some sort of, but I had to go through like dyeing my hair darker and like in a more of a natural look and all. But it was so cool because I got to do like a year long ad, which I booked, and it was quite big. And also, I remember in first year of high school, I did a commercial, and that was a really fun one. In that school, the first high school that I went to, you weren't allowed to work or like have arebaito, part-time
So you
jobs.
had to keep that a little bit secret.
Yeah. And then, but a few of my friends were like, "Were you on that like commercial?" And I'm like, "I did." But yeah, that was cool.
Once it's done, it's too late.
Yeah.
2016, you become Miss Japan.
Mm-hmm.
At what point on your modeling journey do you kind of start thinking about, oh, maybe I want to apply for participating in that pageant and kind of compete there?
So I was never a pageant girl. Like I never thought that I would do a pageant. Even thinking back, I still like, I'm like, did I really do a pageant? It's like 10 years, literally 10 years ago.
Mhm.
But so because after doing modeling and then going entertainment, I quit my agency in 2015. And then I took a pause and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was 21 then, and 21 is still such a baby.
Yeah.
But back then I felt like, oh my God, I'm an adult. Like I need to figure out what I'm going to do. Should I, I want more, something stable or something like that. And I was planning to move to New York because I wanted to move out of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to, go through castings in Japan, even though I said that I wanted to do something more stable. I was like, I've been doing modeling, so let me maybe challenge myself outside of Japan, because certain reasons of why I quit my previous agency back then was I wasn't like booking enough, and it felt like maybe if I go outside of Japan, things might change.
Mm-hmm.
And then while I was getting ready for that, I went to Tokyo Fashion Week where I got scouted for Miss World Japan. And I was like, really? Like, I'm a hafu. Like, do you think I can really, do a beauty pageant? And he was like, well, I mean, you're Japanese, right? Your nationality, if it's in Japan, then you can. I mean, you're checking off the criteria, so you can. I'm like, okay, maybe I will. And then I shared it with my mom, and my mom was saying like the same thing. She was as me. She was like, I'm not saying that you can't. You're beautiful and everything, but being part non-Japanese might not be something that they always look for. But if you want, just go for it. And then that's when I decided to, okay, let's see how this goes. And then maybe I can use that to bring to my next agency, or it'll help my career in different ways. So that was why I just kind of happened to be.
So a lot of hesitation about whether or not you should do it. In the end, you go all the way and win that thing.
Yeah.
Before we talk about the winning and what happens after, I'm curious, how do these pageants actually work? What do you need to do? How are they evaluated? Like, what is the process once you sign up there and you're like, okay, you're a participant? What happens?
I think because there's so many pageants these days, but I could only speak for the one that I did. You go through obviously like the castings and interviews, and then you do this talent round of usually like singing or dancing, or some sort of like instruments. But I don't do any of that. I suck at music. Like I have no tempo in my voice. Like I can't. But you do all of that round. And then once you get selected as a finalist, there is a period of time that you have to compete, not just on the final day that is usually shown. So there's like a bunch of workshops, different types of like in a way castings. And there's always judges. and they're like judging you, like they're putting scores on you all through that period of time. I think in 2016 it was around 2 months. So I was competing with like 30 other girls, and then the finals, and then you win, or you don't, or
You mentioned the talents, and you said that you didn't really have like musical talent and such. What they wrote about you is that you're an elephant trainer and that you're a kickboxer. Why did they write that about you?
I know. I don't know why they picked. I guess it was interesting, but I chose, well, not chose, but well, for elephant training, I went to Laos 3 months before the pageant started to go get that license, because I was in Thailand like a few months before that, and I met a girl that was staying in the same hotel, and she was saying, I'm gonna go to Laos to go get an elephant training license. And I'm like, that is so cool, like you have to tell me all about it. And then it's super easy. It's like you just go to like a day camp or like 3 days, and you ride on an elephant and you just play with elephants, and then they give you a certification of like being an elephant trainer.
And so for the pageant organizers, that's great, because then they have something to write about. Oh, she's an elephant trainer, and that stands out.
But for the organizers, they didn't write that. I think some like news channel saw it and they thought that it was really interesting, so they just put that as a headline. But I did take it for Miss Japan because I don't play any instruments. I can't dance. I don't sing. Yes, I am biracial, but I've learned through modeling that that's not something like unique. Like it's just, because back in school I was the only hafu, but when it's in entertainment, there is a bunch of hafus. So I thought that when I was going to do Miss Japan, there's going to be many other girls that were going to be hafus like me, or even if they weren't, they have tremendous amount of talents that I need to compete with. So I needed to be memorable. And I was like, okay, let's say like they're going to choose easily 15 girls to become a finalist, or like 25 or whatever number that they need to choose. And there's this like few spots left, and all the judges are on this table, and they're like trying to like remember, and be like, hey, remember that girl that a elephant trainer license? Like, it's just to ring a bell. I needed something that will like stand out. And back then, as a 21-year-old, I was like, let's just maybe elephant training,
elephant training.
Nobody should have that. So I that's the reason. I didn't think it was going to go in all the media outlets and be like, her job is an elephant trainer.
And here we are 10 years later, still talking about your elephant training.
Exactly. People still love that part about me. They look up my name, and apparently that's on my Wikipedia.
Yes.
So they always say like, wait, like you have an elephant trainer license?
Society sometimes has a mixed view of these pageants, kind of scoring. Most of the time, the pageants are for women. So scoring them on aspects of their beauty and such. When you're a participant, how is it like for you when you're there with 10, 15 girls and the judge says you're 8 and she's a 9? And then it's like, oh, okay, based on what? If we're just two different people, right? That you just put a number on, I don't know how I can phrase this, your beauty level, if I can phrase it. Is it something you talk about with the pageant participants, like what this means and how this is to be perceived? Or as a participant, do you have like a completely different view of what this is? For example, you were talking about this is a goal for you, a step to put yourself out there to pursue your career, and maybe you didn't think so much about the grading itself.
Personally, I didn't really have a lot of like discussions or chats with my my friends through pageants of the fact being, us being judged by how we look, because they do judge us on different things too, actually. Like we do have to give out interviews and how we like answer, or if like we do this like teamwork stuff for them to kind of understand if we like, if let's say for me, if I can be okay in groups, or I only I can't really communicate with people, or like just being groups of people, and all of that. I guess the balance part, like teamwork, and they do judge in different ways, but it looks, they don't talk about it, but it's definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
Like also after my pageant, I did a few. I participated as a judge for a few pageants,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not on the list, but we do talk about it.
Interesting.
And so, but I have heard, like, I don't know if it's about just being judged in the scores, but some girls would talk about, she's not that cute, or like, why would she, get this when she's not, or
Mm-hmm.
so those things are there. I mean, girls just being girls, but yeah.
So it's a final round, just the finalists are present, and the winner is announced, and it's you.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I'm wondering, oh, wait a second, like I'm Miss World Japan, and suddenly you represent, in a way, based on that pageant, Japan as, I don't know what exactly you represent at that moment, but what did you think you were representing when you won that?
I didn't know. I was like, I didn't black out, but I was like, did I just win Miss World Japan? 'Cause in the beginning, I did want to participate so that I can take back something, and I can like go into auditions for agencies again, and hopefully, they'll take me in or something that will stand out. But in the beginning, I didn't really aim to win. I was like, a first runner up is still enough.
Mm-hmm.
Once I became finalist, I was like, if I'm going to do it, I need to win this. Like, I can't just be like 1 foot in and be like, okay, first runner up is enough, So after I won it, I was like, I couldn't believe I won it. And it was a bit cruel how they did it. It was mean because we were all like 30 girls were on stage. Actually, I think it was 31 girls, but was on stage. And then they started to like announce all the top 10s and then the top 5s. And then in my ear, they decided to give some sort of prizes to all the top 10s.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just not like top. Oh no, we had 2 first runner-ups. That's why it was confusing. And what was mean was, so after 8 girls got called, we had 2 more, which was me and this other girl.
Okay.
And she was competing 2 years in a row. So she was first runner-up last year in 2015. And I'm like, okay, she might win and I might not. And I apparently all the first runner-ups are all called out, second runner-ups are gone. So out of top 10, I'm the only one that's not going to win anything. And I'm like, okay. And then I accepted the fact that I was like, even if I don't win this, it's fine. I'm going to like be happy for her, and I hope that she does well. And then in that moment, I got called out. I was like, it's Priyanka Yoshikawa. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, was that me? And then immediately after, her name was called to be first runner up. So I got mixed up because it was like in that moment, so I don't know if I think there's still footage, but I try to go up and then I turn back and I ask her, I'm like, wait a minute, is it you? Like, did I just like miss myself? And I just went. So I was in shock too, but I was very, very happy. But I felt like I couldn't be happy. Like I wasn't allowed to be happy.
Why?
The tension from behind me.
Those other participants looking at you like, oh, why is a hafu the one that represents Japan?
Mm-hmm. Also, they all want to be Miss Japan, right?
Mm.
So I felt that energy. And also, I think it was this like Japanese culture that I guess like I thought I don't know if it's Japanese culture, but in a way of like this hesitation and like I'm not supposed to be the one being super happy and I should understand like, the harmony,
Mm-hmm.
like of how we're not supposed to stand out. And over the years of, living in Japan and trying to fit in and all of that, a part of me was like, oh, wait, I should be more humble. Like I should be more like, understand the girls behind me. And that's why I'm not really smiling. like in all the footage that
Feel like you just can't release the
I
emotions.
couldn't. And I regret that because I should have. And yeah.
The media really picked up that story.
Yeah.
I think you were the second half that won the competition. First one was a half Indian background. And that was all over the place. And I think people in Japan, a lot of opinions about that and whether you should be the one to represent it or not. When you wake up the next morning and you see all those headlines, I'm assuming you saw the headlines, what do you start thinking about? What are your impressions? Do you just keep this for yourself? It's your victory? Or do you start also wondering like, oh, now you walk on the street, everyone recognizes you because your face is all over the place. And well, people have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah. So I think the most surprising one was when I saw my face on Times of India. And all my like Indian side started to message me with all of that. And I was like, whoa, okay. Because I did expect like if I did win, some sort of, buzz would happen, because for Miss World, I was the first one. And then in 2015 for Miss Universe, Ariana won. So like, because Miss World is quite big in India. But I didn't think that, the Indian embassy tweeting about my, winning or being on, the headlines of Times of India and then like all the other medias and every day being called in for interviews. I didn't expect it to that amount, but I didn't like, all the questions that I would get was about identity and then like who I was, how it felt like to win this and all of that.
Basically same as I'm asking you right now.
Yeah, I did a lot of that back then. But so it was like, I think that was the first proper process of me trying to understand, and like I had a better understanding of what it meant. And also I am so grateful for the amount of like messages that I received that were so positive. But I didn't feel like I won. Like, and it was, I gained family members.
You gained family members.
Yeah.
Suddenly, like from all parts of the world and India, people are like, oh, that's our Priyanka.
Yeah. The next day I gained family members. Yeah. Sorry, I don't think I'm answering your question.
Well, the Indian side of the media was very positive about you winning.
Yeah.
And for you, that was kind of a big breath of fresh air, kind of like, oh, this is great. I'm feeling appreciated. And you start thinking about your identity. In Japan, was it the same with the media, or did you kind of see a kind of different perspective on it?
It was more different for sure. I don't think like the main like media houses, like on the like the morning news, or just the news channels, they weren't really, saying anything negative. It was just Miss Japan, Miss World Japan is, half Indian, half Japanese, elephant trainer, blah, blah, blah. But it was more of the comments, if it's on Yahoo News, if I read the comments, it was not nice. And any interviews that I would give out, the comments, like in tweets and now it's X, but like, but on Twitter and all that. But
does it make your memories from like the school years kind of come back a little bit in a way? Because you were talking about you wanted to actually move away from Japan. Suddenly you're still in Japan and representing Japan.
Yeah, I know.
And then you kind of faced again with that backlash in a way. Do you start questioning this, or do you just I'm doing what I'm doing because you had a strong mindset already before, and now you on your past you wanted to be an entertainer, and now you have that career kind of in front of you?
It didn't affect me. I was actually reading. I was like, I can read this. Like, yeah.
Interesting. A lot of people struggle, I imagine, with a lot of negativity like this. Where do you put the wall to block them off?
You don't know me personally. I'm like, you don't know me. I'm quite cool. I'm like, if you really have something to tell me, come in front of me and tell me. It's like, you can't do that, and you can't just write it and then be like, but I would say like sometimes it would affect me, and I'm like, okay, I don't need to read this. But back then I was really interested in how people thought of the situation. Like it was more of like I was just watching myself from above. It wasn't like, oh, I'm experiencing this personally. And also I had a great support system. Maybe this would connect to like one of the first questions that you gave me today, but like how did I like what would you say? Like process and also like 乗り越える
get over?
Yes, get over all like the bullying and everything was, even if like I was getting bullied or even on, internet or after the pageant or so, it wasn't connected to like deep down like myself. Like it was just, okay, there's something, it was, let's say like my self-esteem wasn't really low. I don't know where I got that from, but like that's why I was able to overcome all of the things. And I think in that pageant, any negative comments, it was more of like I could laugh. I could laugh about it because like this is not me. Okay, so
I think it requires a lot of strength and self-esteem to handle it like that. For you now, that I imagine that opens up a lot of doors and a lot of interesting opportunities, and you've done plenty since. One of which is participate in Love is Blind. Was this something you went into straight after, or something that came later? But first, you're like, now I want to do my own thing, and you opened your business.
So yeah, I opened my business first. So after my reign ended in 2017, I started my first company. And then I started my second company in 2019. And then I did Love is Blind Japan. We shot that in 2021 and it came out in 2022. So it's 4 years ago.
Quite a few years later. Your first company, I believe, was Mukuomi. Is that correct?
It was Riar, but
Riar.
Yeah, it was a digital marketing company that I ran for about 2 years. And then I sold it. And then I started in Mikomi.
So, Riar Digital Marketing, Mukomi, to do with CBD. You wanted a career in entertainment. What inspired you to shift to entrepreneurship in these companies that don't necessarily have anything to do directly with entertainment?
So when I was around 18, I was like, I want to do modeling. I want to continue doing entertainment, but eventually I want to start my own business. I didn't know what kind of business I wanted to do, but I always felt like I'll figure it out down the line. The only thing I knew was that I wanted to start my company before I turned 25. I don't know where that number came from, but it was like before 25. So after my pageant, there were a lot of adults that wanted me to go to India for work. And I went to India quite a lot to Mumbai. And then around 2018, because I already started my business. Oh, so yes, I did go to India. And then I was about to turn 25 in a year and a bit. So I don't know why I felt rushed, but like I was like, I need to rush and I need to start my company. Otherwise I'm going to turn 25, And then I started my first company without knowing anything of how to run a business.
And how did that go?
It went well, actually, but it taught me the basics of how to run a business or how it works. It was almost like going to uni or doing a MBA or something.
Learning by doing. Learning by doing.
Yes, yeah. But the first 6 months was not great at all. I was losing money. I was not making a penny. And then after 6 months, it slowly started to work. And then I was able to expand my team. And then after 2 years, it was running. I guess I can say good, yeah.
But then you step away from that and start a second one. And this one in the field of CBD in Japan, which is very niche, I imagine, and subject to many regulations.
Yeah.
Where did this idea come from to start a company? And if you can also explain what the company did, maybe, but I want to understand the context of how this came to be here in Japan.
Yeah. So because the first company that I started was purely based on me trying to start a business before 25.
Mhm.
So the business idea even though the business, did well eventually, it wasn't something that I was truly passionate about. It was not something that I wanted to continue building, for years. To just, I guess it wasn't even my passion, right? So I couldn't really feel connected. So that's when I slowly started to research or like see what I'm interested in and why I want to start my business. Like, why did I really want to have my own business when I was 18? Like, what was the actual thought behind it, the motivation, the desires? And it was more of like, I wanted to have flexibility. I wanted to have something that I can do for the rest of my life. And if I could do that from anywhere in the world, that would be amazing. So that led me to e-commerce or like D2C. And then I wanted something personal. So I was like, what do I like? What was things that I struggled with and stuff. And I really had sensitive skin as a child. And I used CBD products when I went to the States because I used to do back and forth after moving back. And then I was like, you know what? Like I do like all of these things. And then I created Mikomi, which was a CBD skincare line. Because it's still legal. CBD is legal. The rest of the ingredients, well, few of them are legal, but majority of the ingredients are illegal in Japan. There was green market. The market is growing, and the size was predicted quite huge. So I was like, this is a business chance. And then that's where it was the whole beginning of Mikomi.
You launched your first company without any experience. It was rough at the beginning, but you turn it around and it's successful after. How do you approach the second one? Do you suddenly kind of use your on-the-job MBA as an experience to set up a proper business plan and approach it differently? Or do you still have this mindset, let's just do it and try and see what happens and build from there?
A mix of both, but the original plan was I wanted to start this Mikomi as a safe route was to connect it with my first business and make like a branch or something, and then as a new division and would do skincare. But it was I realized that I should separate it but I needed some cash, so I sold the first company and then I used the cash to build Mikomi. I did think about getting investors, but that wasn't because for my first business, I didn't get investors. So that wasn't my first choice. And then, so I had a business partner for Mikomi, and he and I started with our own money and just from zero. But we had a great production team, and we were able to create the skincare line that we could. But thinking back, I needed to do more research for sure, like inventory and the amount of cost for creating skincare is not something that you can do unless you're already like a billionaire or like a millionaire.
And I imagine
guess.
a lot of regulations as well. Which products can you put in? Can you not? In which countries are which products allowed and not? And then finding your sales channel.
Yeah.
You jumped into all of this straight after the pageant. I imagine after such a pageant, when you win, a lot of people want a lot of things from you. They want you to model. They want you to go here and there. You mentioned going to India a few times. How easy was it for you, if at all, to pull yourself away from this image of just being Miss World to, no, I'm working on my companies now. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businesswoman.
I didn't really think of it like that at all, I guess, because I always wanted my own business and I already had that since 2017. And then the agency that I was signed to would use like former Miss Japan or entrepreneur. So I was already kind of linked as being an entrepreneur when I would make any kind of appearance. Because I did a few TV and stuff in Japan. Even for Love is Blind, I think they used Entrepreneur. And I was still in entertainment. So I think it was just like doing both. And I would still do entertainment because I was running my business. And so that's why I didn't really detach or.
So you didn't need to separate. You kind of took advantage of it in a way, and as a marketing tool as well to push your brand forward.
Yeah.
How difficult was it? You mentioned the technical challenge of managing inventory and such, but I also imagine kind of getting your product to market. Beauty products are extremely competitive, also based on a lot of trends, I imagine.
Yeah.
But also based on, let's say, medical research. How do you kind of insert yourself there? And suddenly you want your product to be on the shelf, but you've got all these big brands with the billions of dollars that you didn't have. What was your approach and how did that go?
Like the biggest challenge for CBD was because it is marijuana related. We can't run any ads, like online ads. So Facebook has banned, so there was no Instagram. Google couldn't, so we couldn't do any listings. Towards the end, I think back then Twitter, it was possible, but it wasn't as big. And then it was mid-COVID. So we launched our brand in 2020 May. So we couldn't do any offline sales. So to promote our product, we had to do it purely almost organic. So that was very tough.
Wow.
But CBD was slowly trending, and because it was predicted, and that's why like we built this business in the beginning. But and also CBD consumables existed, but not a lot of skincare did. So we were one of the first ones to like launch a CBD skincare. And we were fortunate because of that, people would just purchase our brand. And a bit of like my media appearances and just because of what I did in the past, like even just Miss Japan or something like that would help. So I was able to have some products on shelves, and that didn't really do with anything of Miss Japan or the entertainment, but we were able to have a bit more exposure. But towards the end, because the market didn't grow as much as was predicted, that's where it got more tough. And, inventory and all of that is quite tough. But if the market is growing and if the business, if the market is growing, there is possibility of the business to grow. So getting money or like investors, there's always a way, I think. So it was more of just how to promote it, because if we do get money, or like if I am going to invest my own money into the business more, we can't run ads. So like, where are we going to use the cost of, the budget or so? So that was very tough. And also I don't really like to use the word educate, but like to not influence, but
inform.
Yeah, of CBD. It's like yes, it does come from the plant, but it is, it's not THC, and to kind of just to relearn.
And the stereotypes in Japan probably even stronger than they are now, maybe in the United States or across Europe. You said you launched the product in spring of 2020. You also said earlier that you recorded Love is Blind in 2020. 2021. So shortly after that, you are in the process of starting this new challenging company in the middle of COVID. How do you somehow end up on a reality TV show in the middle of launching that second company of yours?
I've always wanted to do a reality show. It was something that I had put on my bucket list, and casting of Love is Blind was happening. And then I applied and then I got it.
Okay.
And then the production started in 2021. But because Mikomi was my brand and I had a business partner and my team everybody was very understanding, I was able to go on the show, even, it was just the brand was only like a year-old baby. Yeah.
How long is that shooting for? How long do you stay on the set where everything is being filmed?
So the pods the pod dating and everything we had, the whole process was around 12 days. And then if you did get engaged, you start living together, and then it was about a month, and then the wedding day, if you do decide to go to the altar, and then a few like shoots that if they needed to do, like
So if you go
post-production
all the way, maybe
interviews.
2 months ish.
Yeah, two, 3. Well, after the production started, it'll be 2 months. If you do include like castings and a bit more, and then after the shoot, they did a bit of like extra shoots, but it was like only like a day or two, right? So, but yeah, I say like 2 months.
So 12 days you spend in the pods. So for people who are not familiar, Love is Blind is a show where you start meeting people without seeing them, and you just talk through this wall.
Yeah.
And you decide whether or not you want to get married right away. What were yours? Yeah, crazy. What were your thoughts going into this? I'm like, am I really going to get married at the end of these 12 days? Is this something I want to do? Or was it also just, I want to have fun?
Both. Oh, I went into the show having the intention of wanting to meet, but I also wanted to have fun. So the pod dates were 7 days, but we had like in between breaks and just individual shoots. So you only are given 7 days to decide if you would like to propose and meet in person and live together for a month. So it's mental. It's only a week.
In that week, how often do you even get to talk to everyone?
So the first 2 days was like speed dating, and we were given around like 10 minutes or 15 minutes per person, and we just speed dated. And then we write down, I think it was a day and a half, sorry. We did a day and a half of speed dating. And then we write down who we would like to talk again. And I think we had to narrow it down to like 5 people. And then we went 3. And then if it matches, you get to talk. If you don't, then you just chill in the living room. But you could request. You would like to speak to, whoever you wanted to. But it's almost like this, but it's just with the pods, right?
Yeah.
You're giving like one of the like AirPods, and then you're just on a phone call.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I imagine you're not allowed to talk about everything on the production, but I'm curious, when you apply and you get accepted, what are you briefed on? What do you know about what's going to happen before you actually are put into that pod for your first round of speed dating?
We were giving all the schedules. So in my calendar, I had a day that said wedding day, like, because I needed my manager to know, and then I needed my parents to know.
So I'm getting married.
Yeah, I might. I was like, hi guys, I might, but I don't know to who.
so leave your calendar open for that. Wow.
Yeah. It got canceled. But so that was the schedule. But other than that, no information of the other girls, guys on the other side, nothing, where we were going to stay, none of that until actually the production started, like on day 1. Yeah.
When you have this first round of speed dating, you mentioned around 10 minutes per person, and you just go through everyone in a day and a half. You know that in those 10 minutes, you need to narrow down the list to people you potentially want to marry in a week from now.
Yeah.
What are you looking for? What are you asking? What are you thinking? How do you evaluate whether or not you want to go that far with a potential person? Is it like the sound of their voice? Is it... I have no idea. What goes through your mind when you're in those conversations?
It's scary to decide. I think you can have fun, and you can like want to talk to that person again. You can have that feeling. I think it's not that hard, but to actually decide if you would like to get married to that person is very scary, and it's not as easy. At least it wasn't for me. But I followed only my instincts. I was like, you know what? Like, I think it was just the feeling of like, do I want to talk to this person again? Can I talk to this person like freely, and I will enjoy it for another hour? It was like that feeling of You know, like even like in daily dating, I guess, like without the pause, right? You go on a date and you're like, I want to see this person again. But in the pause, you're like, I want to talk to this person again. And that was the only thing that I followed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the connection. Also, when you're put in a very unique environment or something like Love is Blind, you start to, like, as humans, I guess, you start to develop these connections a bit more, not easily, but you start bonding. Like everybody that was on this Love is Blind series, like have mentioned similar experiences of, even among girls, like, because we've shared this experience together.
At the end of the week, you have to make a decision, right? Or someone else makes a decision and you have to make a decision based on what they say. Is it a moment of panic? Or is it like, okay, do I say yes or no? Or what do I do now? It's like now or never. And it's being recorded. Everything is being recorded, right?
Yeah, literally every second. You have your mic in, like, right here underneath all the clothing that you wear. And like, it's with you almost 24/7, because you go into studio. Well, we got picked up around like 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. And then around like 8:39 it starts, and then we get back around 6. Oh, we were like latest by 7, but it's almost like a full day, and that's what you do for almost 10 days. So I panicked when I got engaged. I panicked because it was reality, but at the same time, I'm like, this has been recorded, and this is a reality show. And even if it's not a show, you always have the right to say no or yes or change your mind, because, like, you know, things change, right? But it felt like I can't, and this is like the final decision, and this is what's gonna happen to me in the next few months. And so I couldn't, like, pieces couldn't like connect. So I panicked and I cried. It's on Netflix, but yeah, I cried.
A lot of emotions, I imagine.
Yeah.
Just bottled up, and the fact that it's being filmed maybe shifts or pushes your decision making in one direction or over the other. You mentioned that it's not really final. Maybe different than it is. And the Love is Blind is also produced in other countries.
Yeah.
Maybe with slightly different rules. But here you were able to put an end to this engagement, I guess, because you're not married to person that you met there. When that show is over, I imagine it's an incredibly unique experience to be filmed 24/7 for the time you're there, recorded, have this experience talking to strangers without seeing them, potentially making that decision that could change your life. How do you look back on that after the recording, everything is finished, and you're like, oh, I've done this. My bucket list thing is checked off, but I nearly just got married there.
Yeah, I nearly did, huh? Yeah, the rules are a bit different. Like for not Miss World, Love is Blind Japan, you can break off your engagement before going to the altar, which I think is more realistic. And that's what I did. But sorry for.
How do you look back on that experience after you step out of there and your shooting is done, and you think about what you just experienced?
It was fun for sure. If I would go back, I'll do it again. But I wish I was able to, like, do things a bit more differently. But that's only coming from after I know what I know, right? Like, and like what I experienced and the things that kind of, I mean, if you watch the show, you'll know, but like what came out. But other than that, like, maybe maybe I should have, like, well, you can't really enjoy everything when you're engaged and you're talking about your real life, because after the after shoot ends, like, if you do get married, it's, you know, there's no more cameras. You're just living that life, right? So it's quite serious. So towards the end, it was quite stressful for me. But looking back, I mean, I met great friends, and I made great friends. And like last week, I was on a trip with one of them, and it was a different experience that I will never able to do anywhere else. So if anybody is interested, I'll say definitely go for it.
Reality TV, but in a way surreal.
Yeah.
A very unique experience. I imagine there's a lot being filmed. What we see on Netflix is maybe different. Not everything can be put into those, I don't know how long the episodes are, 40, 50 minutes. So when you look at the final footage, you're like, oh, there's also this thing that happened maybe, and that wasn't in there. Or is this really how this happened? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
And you also see everything that happened in the other pods.
I know.
Does it make you smile a little bit when you suddenly see the conversations that all the others had as well amongst themselves, sometimes with the people that you may have been interested in too?
Yeah. Because there's 2 couples that got married, and then one couple got married off the show. Well, not on the show, but after the show, they started dating and they got married. So there are 3 couples that actually made it to the end.
So they got engaged, broke off the engagement, and after the camera sort of like, oh, let's actually go for a coffee and do this the normal way.
No. Actually, they got engaged with different people.
Oh.
And then they broke it off. And then yeah. What's interesting is because they used to date in the pods, but they decided to get engaged with others, but they got married. But, so sometimes I guess love is not just, blind. But yeah, it was fun. It was interesting seeing other people's like conversations in the pods, because you never really know what the process was, and like just other chats, but overall, like, yeah.
So all of this happens in like a month and a half, 2 months-ish, and then Mukomi still there. You have to go back to manage things. I imagine not so easy to get back to the challenges of selling your products on the shelves of stores where few people are going because it's still COVID. You continue working at that company. Eventually, now you move to London.
Yeah.
Completely new direction for your career, where you're opening very soon, I imagine. I think ikebana flower arrangement studio, Studio 489.
Yes,
yeah,
it is called Studio 489.
Before we talk about ikebana, it seemed like after all these years where you were thinking about moving out of Japan but ended up staying and doing things here, you are finally taking your career overseas. What was the desire for you to move to London specifically? England hasn't come up in our conversation so far yet. India, the US, Japan, but not England. Why London?
So like after so many years of wanting to move out, but I didn't. And then like even since a young age I wanted to, but everything that I would start doing was in Japan. Right before my pageant, I wanted to move to New York. Because I decided to do the pageant, I didn't. And then so I was like, after Love is Blind, going back to Mikomi, and then I was thinking about, I don't know if this has the future that I want. Like, Mikomi is my baby. I'm so attached to it, but is it serving me? Like, am I too dependent on this, or am I like too attached, I guess? So I was like, maybe I need to take a moment and let me take a trip or get outside of Japan. And if I could go to somewhere that I could consider to live, that'll be better. And I've always been interested in London, but I've never gone. So I bought my tickets and I went to London for a month. And I absolutely loved it. That was 4 years ago. So in 2022, May, I guess, I went there. And instantly I felt that this is not where I see myself coming back to travel, but I could see myself live here. So after coming back, I was like, I have Mikomi. How am I supposed to, how am I going to balance it out and find a way to move to London? So that was the beginning of I just absolutely loved it.
What was it that you loved so much about London?
I loved, well, so I wanted to move to New York in the beginning was because, I mean, I'm a city girl. I love a city and I want to continue to live in a city still. So I wanted somewhere that was more diverse and cosmopolitan, and it was New York or London. And I liked London when I went to London 4 years ago. But another one was, it was this feeling of the version that I felt I was in London felt so nice. It's not like my personality changes or anything. I'm exactly the same, but I feel lighter, I guess, or I just felt happier. Maybe it was because I was away from everything physically, but I still love it. I've been living there for about a year now, but it's been great. So it's just a feeling. I wish I can verbalize this. But
A city where you can feel like yourself, where maybe your question of identity is not as important anymore and you can just be you again. And a place where you're now in the process of opening a new business.
yeah.
Flower arrangement, ikebana. What is your interest there? How did you kind of come up with this idea and this desire to set up shop in London?
So I shut my the company of Mikomi before moving to London because just for business reasons it wasn't worth continuing. So after I moved to London, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. Was it going into corporate, or was it doing some sort of like client work, or helping or setting up a new business, or all of that? But I decided to take some time off because I've been working since I was 15, and I've always had something that I wanted to do or I was always working on, and which was a challenge because I had to take a pause and not feel worried that I wasn't doing anything. And because floristry is so big in the UK, that's what I started to realize. And I remember that when I first came back to Japan, I did ikebana, and I loved it because with flowers, it had nothing to do with me or like who I was. It was just me arranging flowers and enjoying the negative spaces, or which call it in Japanese ma, but like, and I just remembered I loved it. So I looked up floristry schools, and that's when I started to learn flowers again, and I still learn ikebana. So Studio 489 is not actually like precisely on ikebana, but it's a flower studio. And we do subscription flowers. Well, we're going to start that from this summer, but we do contracts for like offices, and we do like private workshops and group workshops, and just like collabs and stuff. So it was eventually led me to this passion of like, I really love flowers and I want to do something with it. And 489 comes from yohaku.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A completely new creative outlet for you. A new material to play with, not yourself, as you mentioned. You have already this business plan in mind, working with offices or workshops. When it comes to the flowers themselves, what is it that you like to kind of create and see at the end of the day after you work with them?
I like freestyle, even though I do ikebana. I like the ikebana like freestyle arrangements more than the structured ones. But through the techniques or like the lessons that I go through and I learn is like, because we know the structures, we can do like freestyle. So it's like a combination, but a flower itself is already so beautiful, but you can with like human coming into it, like with nature coexisting, we can kind of manipulate the flowers, or we just play around with it and create what it feels pretty to you, or what feels, what you like. And I think I just like that because there's no judgment there. It doesn't need to be in a perfect way. There's no perfection for that. You can go for that too, I guess, but I like the freestyle way more.
In a way, that's a nice metaphor for human beings as well. We're all little flowers and we just freestyle our way through and just become who we are, and we're all beautiful in our own ways.
Exactly. That's so nice. I did like a ikebana inspired workshop right before coming to Tokyo or Japan this month. And because it was ikebana inspired and I did more freestyle, we had 15 girls, but everybody's arrangement was different.
Mhm.
And I loved how it looked at the end. And just a bit of like doing something to do with being Japanese or with Japan, and which that is ikebana in London is a very, I like that because in London, for identity wise, it's a bit different because people see me more as Japanese. Sometimes I get questioned. I'm like of people asking me if I'm Chinese or Korean, and I'm like that would never happen to me when I'm in Japan. So it's a different identity, not crisis, but understand like a different journey right now that's happening. But yeah.
Throughout your whole life, you've been asked about your identity, who you are, where you're from. And I imagine your answer kind of gradually changed depending on where you were, who you were dealing with, and so on. Have you come to a point where you're like, that's just basically the way it is? The answer is going to keep changing as I grow, as you kind of develop your own identity over the years and now in London?
I don't know if exactly my answer has changed. Like fundamentally, I don't think it has, but it's like new understandings. I guess like in London, because people can see me as Japanese, for the first time, nobody's going to question me when I say I'm Japanese. So now I'm like, no. I'm part Indian as well. It feels like I want people to know that version of me too.
Your dad is saying, this is my Indian girl.
Yeah, he's like, but so that's a different experience that I'm going through. But I talk about a bit of this in the TED Talk that I did years back. But I've always stuck with that of saying it's just who you are is your identity. It doesn't really need to be where you're born, where you're raised. Nothing to do with blood. I have one of my cousin's child is born and raised in Japan, but because my cousin is Indian and his wife is Indian too, he's like, you guys are Indians, but why? I'm Japanese, like, and he's only 7. So I'm kind of curious in like the process and also like kind of like watching out too of like how what he's experiencing. But it's just of how you always define yourself. It doesn't need to be with all the stereotypes, I always feel.
And you've certainly had a lot of experiences that have defined yourself and a lot of drive to kind of keep going with a lot of goals and things on your bucket list, maybe that you still want to chase after. Your current chapter is in London and we'll see where it takes you. Priyanka, we covered so many topics today. Is there something that you would have liked to talk about that maybe I didn't bring up, I didn't ask you about, that you're like, oh, I want to mention that? Or do you feel like we covered it?
I think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was able to answer
You
your
answered
questions.
all my questions.
Yeah?
I'm sure maybe some people will have more, or probably will have more after the cameras turn off, as it is usually the case. But it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for being so open about your journey, your experiences, your challenges as well. And hopefully some other people that may be dealing with something similar will have some ideas of how maybe they can handle their own challenges. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you everyone for listening and watching. This was Unpacking Japan, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Thanks for sticking with us until the end. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to Unpacking Japan. It's the best way to help us grow and ensures we can keep bringing you these deep dives every week. Till next time, take care.